Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Home Staging Talk Show Live. This is Jenny Norris coming to you from Denver, where we had snow, believe it or not, and excited to be with you today for our show. I am the chairwoman for the International Association of Home Staging Professionals, and Home Staging Talk Show Live is brought to you by IAHSP. And so thank you all for tuning in and joining us. So as you come on, good morning, everybody. And if you would like to share this segment right now at the bottom of your profile or whatever, however you're tuning into us, that would be great because our goal is to reach as many people as possible. So good morning. Hey, Catherine. Good to see you. And so as we get going, we've got a great show for you today. Special guest, Candice Olson. Candice. I don't know if can you guys hear me when you're in the lobby? So I see Kat. You look so cute, Kat. Glamorama. So we have Candice Olson joining us today. Really excited to hear from her, Kat Troulinos, and then also Sheila Dragon, who will be sharing. So these are all speakers at our upcoming conference, October 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So before we get started, got a few announcements. So of course, got to plug the conference. I look very close here. I kind of got a big head. Let me shrink myself down. I don't know why I'm so... I didn't like zoom in my camera, so I don't know why it's like so in there. I don't know. I must have touched a button. So I think my head's going to be kind of big for the show on the screen. It's like filling the whole thing. I don't want to touch my camera because I don't know what I did. So anyhow, I'll have my head cut off for the rest of the show. But anyhow, our conference is October 3rd, 4th, and 5th in Nashville. So we're really excited for that. So hopefully you're all planning to join us. We do have some special things coming out for this weekend for Memorial Day. We're going to unlock some special savings. So look for those announcements coming for those of you that have not purchased your ticket yet. We're going to have a great time. And our speaker lineup, of course, is right here. So we have 34 speakers plus our keynotes. So that's a huge lineup for great education. And every topic you can think of, from business building to success, to overcoming concerns, to finding balance, to strategies and techniques and trends, that's all going to be covered. So you'll have plenty of education to choose from, and all industry experts, which is really awesome. And of course, the other things we have going on, so you can see here all of our things that we hit. We have our investor staging consultant designation that will be issued on Saturday morning. And of course, Sheila Dragon is part of that. And we have our advanced stager training day, which will be a workshop, which will be the 6th and 7th. And that's for people that are 6 figures or above, stager business owners. So if you're not quite there yet, set a goal to get there by October, and we will welcome you into the workshop with open arms. It's great because the topics at conference, we do have advanced speaking topics, but we have to cater the conference to beginners, intermediate, and advanced. And with people who have businesses that have grown to a higher level, they just deal with different issues. But it's nice because we have this open conversation with other business owners. And so it's really not listening to somebody from a stage, it's really more interactive. So definitely plan to be there for that on October 6th and 7th. And of course, that is a collaboration with industry leaders. So we have Marianne Cherico, and again, Marianne, I apologize, your face is covered by the logo. On the left, Joanne Lennett-Wary, Catherine Lewis Brown, Melissa Morrow, myself, and then Jana Usselton. So they are going to be working on the workshop with us and be sharing different things. And we'll also have other speakers that'll be sharing, which is exciting. So these are the other featured speakers at the Advanced Stager Training. So on the left, Renee Helton, who is a realtor here in the Denver area, and she has been a MAPS coach for Keller Williams, spoken all over the globe. Actually, she just got back from South Africa where she spoke. And so she does a lot with business productivity and sales success and mindset. So she'll be speaking on that. Then you have Jonathan Miller in the middle, and he is in the staging world with all of us, and has a passion for marketing and branding. So he'll be talking about that. And then Brandy Sales does a lot with video marketing and branding and other tech. So those three will be sharing during the advanced stager training to help us all know how to do better in all of those aspects, which is exciting. And of course, our keynote speaker on Friday afternoon is none other than Candice Olson. So she'll be there Friday with a meet and greet to follow. So really excited to have her doing that. Have you there, Candice? The other keynote speakers we have, Tom Felicia and Carson Kressley, will be Saturday afternoon. And of course, we heard from Carson a couple weeks ago, so we got to get Tom on the show, but we're really looking forward to having them joining us for our event. And let me hide this and show that, so you guys see a little crawler going across. Let's see, other announcements. We are going to be having a Canada launch call on May, so it's next Wednesday. What is that, May 29th? I'm going to look at my calendar. Yes. So May 29th at 5 p.m. my time, or 7 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be doing a Canada launch of Canada IAHSP chapter. And so Catherine Lewis Brown will be sending out information on that. So if you are in Canada and you would like to be part of what we're doing there with IAHSP, definitely be part of that call. So we'll send out the details. We'll be posting it lots of places so you can all participate. But I'm excited for that to be happening and be able to grow the great country of Canada with our membership. We also have our wholesale tours. So these are two different tours we're doing, one in Atlanta, which will be July 10th. So if you're planning on going to Atlanta market, or you live in that region and want to learn how to shop wholesale, come join us on July 10th. July 28th, it will be Las Vegas. So we're doing tours for both of those. If you have seen us with these tours at High Point, we get a nice group together. We take you to all the different showrooms where we have special arrangements set up with the vendors. We show you how to read the tags, how to open up accounts. You come away with a nice packet and information that you can reference later on different terms and so forth for how to shop wholesale. So check out shopwholesalemarket.com. shopwholesalemarket.com, and you'll be able to join us. There's a limited number of spaces available because we can't traipse 55 people through the market. I'm sure they would love to see everybody show up, but it's just hard to manage. So don't wait to get your spot. And again, shopwholesalemarket.com is the website to sign up for those. All righty. And what else? Oh, I wanted to show this. So we actually are going to be teaching a class in London. So IAHSP Europe is sponsoring the course June 10th and 11th in London, England. And so it is sponsored by IAHSP Europe. It's hosted by IAHSA UK, the Home Staging Association in the UK, and taught by certified accredited staging professional trainers with stagehomes.com. So Verena Mumford and Sonia Radovinovich are going to be teaching the class. So if you are in the London area, or you can get there from wherever you live and you're watching this, get registered for that class. It's the only course that accredits you, the student, and it's a 2-day class for you to learn how to set up a successful staging business, or if you already have one running and you want to learn some more of the foundation to make you very successful, then you want to sign up for that. So if you are interested in that class, go to stagedhomes.com and you'll be able to register. So stagedhomes.com, you'll find the information to register. And again, it is sponsored by IAHSP Europe and taught by Staged Homes trainers. And again, hosted by HSA UK, which is the England Home Staging Association in the UK, headed up by Paloma Harrington. So we're looking forward to that. All right, I think that is all of my announcements. So Sheila Dragon, if you are watching, I don't see you in the studio yet, so make sure to log on. So Catherine says, give me a shout out if you have any questions. You can reach out to her about the Canada launch. And again, everybody, if you would want to share this segment to your page and your followers and so forth, that would be awesome. It allows us to reach as many people as possible with the show. As we are speaking to Candice, if you guys have any questions right now you want me to ask her, of course, professional questions, go ahead and type them down and we'll read them as we are going live. So Candice, if you are ready, I'm going to bring you on. I'm going to hide this. There we go. Hide the agenda. Okay, so here we go. All right, so Candice is going to be coming on. There she is.
Hi.
Hey, Candice.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
It's great to have you. Thank you for joining us, taking the time to be with us.
It's my pleasure. Is my head too big on the screen?
No, but I don't know. I was adjusting my little camera and I touched a button in the back. I think that zoomed it in somehow, but I don't want to touch it because it's I can't go any lower in my chair either. I'm like down almost to the floor.
You look fabulous.
Thank you. Well, so great to have you on. I'm a big fan, as are so many people. And I wanted to read a little, I printed this little thing out, so I hope you don't mind if I brag on you. So this is her write-up I found on the show. So it says, with the goal of showcasing both beauty and the business side, I love that, of interior design, Candice launched her first TV show, Divine Design, in 2002. And that's when I got started in staging. So I totally remember watching your show. And you'd be like, doing the divine design. You had, was it Chico, the guy? And he was like, doing can lights and screwing things in. And what I always loved about your show is you seem like you have a lot of fun. So after 8 years of #1 ratings, Olson launched a second TV show, Candice Tells All, that delved deeper into her design inspiration and process. It also became a #1 hit in the New York Times, leading the New York Times to announce her as the one to watch. And she's broadcast in 75 countries around the world. Millions have come to know and love her signature style and trademark sense of humor, which I love too. She is considered to be a preeminent design authority and has authored a series of 6 best-selling interior design books. So you have a Candice Olson collection, which includes home furnishings, fashions from furniture, fabric, bedding, wallpaper, area rugs, lighting, and accessories. And while accessible, the products embody Candice's love of everyday elegance and are immensely popular amongst interior designers and consumers alike. So very exciting. You have really expanded.
Well, it's been a busy couple of years.
Yeah. So tell everybody, your current show is Candice Tells All.
Candice Tells All. I'm not filming it anymore. I did 12 seasons
wow.
of television, which is longer than Friends.
Yeah, it's true.
And so that was the last show. I did 8 seasons of Divine Design, 4 seasons of Candice Tells All. And at that point, I didn't want to see myself on TV anymore. but
we love you. We love seeing you on TV. So luckily that they have reruns. So I think people can still catch you on.
They do. And
yes.
What's really interesting and funny and sad all at the same time is I had 2 children during those years. So when they air repeats, I seem pregnant over and over and over again. So people are always asking me, how many kids do you actually have?
I do remember when you were like pregnant with, I think it was your second one. Yeah.
I'm
on the show. You were like, yeah. And how old are your kids now?
They are 15 and 13.
13. So boy and girl?
Boy, my daughter is 15 and my son is 13. And I worked right up until, I think my first contraction with both of them. We tried to kind of, hide the fact that I was pregnant. But I mean, both my kids are over 10 pounds. I couldn't carry a sheet of plywood, big enough to hide those baby bumps.
I remember, yeah, you were. I remember one. I don't know if it was probably your second one. You were like way out there, but you were like all baby,
huge, humongous.
but you're tall. You were like, how tall? You 6 feet tall?
I'm 6 feet. Yes. So that helped.
Yes.
But yeah, they were big kids. I was real fortunate. I had kids later in life, had no problems, worked up into the, the day of contractions. And yeah, look at them. They're teenagers now, which is also part of the reason why just the day-to-day schedule of television, there's zero flexibility. And anyone that has kids or teenagers knows that you need to be there kind of at the phone call. So it was a good time to leave the world of television. We're looking at doing maybe another project, but it's a huge commitment. It really, really is. And there was a time, it was fantastic at the time. I'm not sure if I can jump, into it again. So, but we'll see.
So do your kids, are they involved in your business at all? Do they know what you've done?
They were little when I was doing the show. And so unless I was, Dora the Explorer, they didn't care.
Exactly.
Hannah Montana, big time. Mom, not so
Blue's
much.
Clues.
Well, my husband and I, we work quite a bit together, so they know that we're in the business. But my daughter wants to be a dentist. Good on her. And my son is, he's fully immersed in hockey. We're in Toronto, so he wants to be a professional hockey player. So it's good that my daughter wants to be a dentist, so she can put his teeth back in.
That's true. And her passion may change like 5 times. You never know.
Completely. But they're healthy, happy. We're a really sporty family that keeps them out of trouble, and it's a busy time with everything. Even without doing the show, it's pretty hectic.
So tell us about, like, what are you working on currently? So what consumes Candice's day? Like, what projects are you working on?
So we have, before I did television, people sort of think I started off in television and it kind of grew from there. I was an overnight success after having my own business for 15 years, a design build business. I met my husband in that business because, as everyone knows, a good contractor is hard to find. And if you find a good one, you marry him. So I did. It's a bit of a commitment, but so we still have that business. So we work on quite a few projects together. But on top of that, around, I'm going to say year 4 of the first show, I started up a licensing business. So I'm I think into my 14th collection now with York wall coverings. That's a very extensive collection. Fantastic company to work with. I'm so proud of that collection. I'm working on my new fabric collection, so we're several seasons along in that as well. A line of furniture, carpeting. So we're always designing something. It's kind of like fashion designers, but not except for the wall coverings, which is a very extensive line. We're always designing and looking for the next collection. I love doing product design. I really do. I'm very detailed oriented, so I love to kind of immerse myself in one item. I'm working on. I'll show you. Here's.
So I look at your office. It's very.
My new
oh,
lamp.
it's really pretty. That's really, yeah, I like that. Look at the different, like the circle with the square, the different
so
shapes.
People remember the show, Divine Design. They know that I'm always hand drawing. I bring that aspect to product design. So I don't do any work on computer. I'm like barely opposable thumbs when it comes to technology. But I love doing that sort of work. Just really focusing in on the elements that go into making, the overall picture. And it gives me a little bit more flexibility than client work.
Right.
As everyone knows out there, you're at the beck and call of your client when you're in the service industry. So this gives me a little more flexibility. I travel a little bit less, and I love it.
Well, I'm impressed that you're showing that your office behind you, because mine is pictured that I'm in a loft, so I don't have a wall behind me. That's why I've got that backdrop, but I would not dare show my
This is I'm actually at home in my home office, where I try to work a couple of days a week. I really get a lot of stuff done here. If we did this at our office downtown, we have construction guys coming and going. It's like a bunch of hyenas, going through. So I knew I would have to do this working from home today.
It's very organized. You have your different, it's staged really nicely, very tidy. Because you said you're detail oriented. Yeah. She's like, look over that way, you can't see.
The wine's over there.
The wine.
Off camera.
That's great. Well, so wallpaper, it's interesting because there's a company that's going to be at our show, and they do like the wallpaper, like the decal, which
York Wall Coverings has a line of that as well. It's fantastic. I mean, you get a great bang for your buck. It's non-committal. It's fantastic. Yeah.
I invented it. I mean, I go back to like thinking like when we were little, like they had those dolls where they'd cut out and you'd have like the little rubber clothes. You could put different outfits and stuff on them, and then
yourself.
I know. I think we were born the same year. I looked at the year you were born.
We look fabulous.
And then, you think about like the fat heads when they came out. So my guys I have a girl and 3 boys. And so they had the, Peyton Manning fat head. And I thought that's really a cool thing. And now the wallpaper, because that's probably the biggest thing, people don't commit to the wall coverings because they're like, I don't want to have to take it down. What if it gets dated? What a genius idea to do something you can just peel right off.
I love it. You get a really big bang for your buck. I love when you sometimes, with when you walk in a space, I always say there's got to be some sort of a focal point, something that grabs your attention, and then everything kind of falls into place around it. It could be a fireplace or a view, but sometimes the room just doesn't have anything, and that's where wall coverings come into play. That real nice bold pattern. That real sort of statement wall doesn't have to be everywhere,
Right.
but it's a great jumping off point.
Yeah. And I've noticed a lot of the bigger patterns coming in. So it's kind of fun to see, because there was a time where it's like, taboo, like no wall coverings. And I'll say my mom, when my parents bought a house, they moved from Southern California to a town in Northern Cal. And my mom's like, I'm not giving any money to the feds, as far as like capital gains. So she went nuts. And we had Laura Ashley wallpaper, the matching balloon valance, the lampshades, the fabric. So every room had a different theme. And so she went, and it was really tastefully done. But when it came time to sell the house, what's that?
At the time, thank you.
Exactly. But when it came to time to sell, the buyers came in and they're like, and this was before I was a stager, so I couldn't even like give her advice like, Mom, we need to neutralize or take these things down. So luckily the patterns seem to be, they're not the little teeny flowers. There seem to be a lot, bolder, which is fun.
There's bold patterns. We do a lot with special effect inks, like pearlescent effects, iridescent effects, glass beads, sand, metallic printed sisals, which have been really, really popular. So a lot of just really unusual sort of fashion forward techniques. I love working with York. They think I'm totally bonkers. I walked in there, like literally, I think when I started working with them, I had a little gum wrapper that I wanted to match the metallic to. And they kind of looked at me like I had three heads, but now they totally get it.
That's awesome. And I think it's like fashion for the home. You know what I mean? And Carson had used kind of that term that it's the interior design side. It is like fashion for the home. Totally. And it's really great. So this is like a totally, maybe off the wall question, probably not the first time you've heard this, but what is it about Canada and so many talented designers that seem to come out of that country? Is the water?
Well, I can't speak on, from the entire country, but I have been asked this before because we are really fortunate. We're, with music and interior design, we've got some great artists coming out of this country. I think Canada, what I love about it is incredibly diverse, culturally diverse. We live in Toronto. It's the largest city in Canada. And we are just bombarded on so many levels with just new ideas, European ideas, Asian, East Asian, African. There's just so many influences. So you really see this that diversity, I think, reflected in a lot of what happens design-wise, architecturally. It's a diverse population, and certainly even Toronto is very architecturally diverse. When I try to pinpoint a look, you really can't, and that's what makes it so fantastic. There's a lot of inspiration coming here from the entire world.
Well, yeah, and we had the Scott brothers last year as our keynotes. Of course, they're from Canada as well. So I'm like, they import Canada, influences a lot of what we do here in the U.S. with the fashion and design. I just found that kind of really interesting. And I taught a class once in Toronto. It was University of Toronto areas where they had me teaching. I was actually teaching in a bar. This is before people would book the classes for me. So I was at a pub in the basement of some like old hotel on Fraternity Row, and my room where I stayed was like a library with like a rollaway cot, and then all night long they're dragging the furniture over my head. It was sort of like, okay, take that one off the list. We're not going to go back and teach there, but it was really, Toronto is a beautiful city.
It's in the winter or the summer.
It was spring, I think. Yeah.
Winter can be challenging, but that's when we get a lot of work done.
Yeah, exactly. You get bundled up. So those of you that are watching, go ahead and type any questions if you would like me to ask Candice anything during our interview time. So let's talk about, so you've been in business a long time. So you got your design degree, and then you said you had 15 years before you even arrived on television. So you immediately went into business.
So I graduated from design school in the mid '80s. You know, when you had to arrange where the granite boulders would go to take in the view of the pterodactyls. um, but it was a great time to graduate because it was the '80s and it was all that Laura Ashley, you know, Walt. Sorry, Laura.
I know.
um, but I was really fortunate in design school that I started working for a large company that did mostly hospitality, a lot of retail design. I started working for them in my third year part time, and by my fourth year when I graduated, I was pretty much putting in full time hours for them. I was horribly overworked and underpaid, as a lot of people are right out of design school, but it was really the it just grounded me in construction drawings, project management, budgets. You know, it really was baptism by fire. I left. I was taken with two of the senior designers left that company and went out on their own, and I was their only employee, where I was even more overworked and underpaid. But again, it was like you got to do the time, right? It just doesn't happen. They eventually went in separate directions, and I was really fortunate to take over quite a bit of their business, their contract business, and that's where you see. I wanted to really showcase Chico and lighting on my show, and you see that love of lighting that really started in my years of doing retail design work. You know, this was back in at a time where the economy wasn't great, but you know, I had to take a $15 blouse and make it look like it was $1,500, and you can do that with lighting. And I've tried to showcase that over the years, you know, the power of lighting. Anyway, so I eventually started doing more and more residential work, as well as the contract work. And then kind of the tipping point, because people always want to say, like, how did you go from 15 years of doing that to, you know, the TV side of it? I entered a design contest and won that. And it was a national contest. And I had this project published. A producer of a local television show, like a Monday to Friday type of a show, where Monday is gardening and cooking, and Tuesday's therapy. I could have done that show too. You know, there's a a fashion Friday, and Thursday was interior design. She saw that, and they had experts come on and every single day, 10 o'clock, and they would speak about various projects and about design, blah, blah, blah. They didn't want me to be the expert, but they wanted to showcase the project. And so I said, great. So they showed up to walk through the project, and their on-camera person fell ill or something, but wasn't there. So the whole camera crew was there. So they phoned me and they said, you know, we'd love to just do some footage, but we need to get in, and somehow we couldn't get the keys there, whatever. So I had to come from a job site where I was covered in drywall dust. I looked like just shit. And oh crap, I can't swear, can I? No. Anyway,
Okay.
so this kind of stuff happened. So
Yeah.
I showed up. I walked them through with the camera, you know, what had happened, and I think I dropped the F-bomb about 10 times because I was, you know, I'm getting pulled in a million directions, and I don't even. Anyway, somehow they went back with the footage of me in my work boots covered in, like, it just was a red hot mess. Anyway, they loved it. And I started doing a weekly segment for them. And it was great advertising because I was on the job site. The camera would show up. I, you know, try to pull it together a little bit better and, you know, put on a push up bra and comb my hair. But I would walk through the projects that we were working on. So it was great advertising and people gravitated to watching the process. So they'd tune in week after week, and we'd see the construction side right to the bing, you know, the flower and the vase. And so I did that for around 7 years, in addition to doing our business. But again, it was just great advertising. Then there was a local network that was starting up here. So I wasn't on HGTV at the beginning, but they were looking for a flagship design show, and so they approached me. And but this was at the time, and I don't want to diss any other shows, but it was kind of at a time when it was, here's $10 and a couple of hours and some dryer lint and cabbage leaves and go and renovate the neighbor's house, like remember, like that kind of thing. So that was what was popular at the time. And I said, so they offered me a show, and I said, that's not really what design is, and I've worked really hard to get where I am. So I said, yeah, I've got a good thing going with our local show, and that was it. And then they came back and said, well, we know you don't want to do a show, but if you did, what would it look like? Which is a very, very passive aggressive, sneaky thing.
Right.
And then I started talking about, I wanted to show real clients, real design. I wanted to showcase the trades, which is, that crazy love-hate relationship. I love my guys, but I hate them, love, hate. And that's how that all started. But the tipping point was getting my work out there, getting it recognized, and everything's a couple of doors open.
Right. I mean, people think, like you said, like you're an overnight success, like with these, one day you're not on TV and then you are, and like, oh, where did she come from? Oh, she must have just that easy path. But you obviously just shared it was a long journey where you were learning, and then
completely. And I get asked this a lot by students, how can I do what you did or do? And I'm like, well, honey, you got to work your ass off.
Right. That's how you do it. I know.
No secret.
So here's a question. So Janice is asking, is there a favorite memory that you have from your divine design years?
Oh gosh. I love, oh gosh, we really had a ball, I have to say. For every show, we were only a half-hour show. We would shoot about 14 hours of footage. A lot of it was so X-rated that if anyone ever got it, so, I really loved our guys and our girls. We have, so Chico was our electrician on Divine Design. And I'll tell you the story of how Chico came about. So I had been working with him on contract projects, retail and hospitality for years. So when I, bid on this idea of doing a show, I didn't want to bring my guys into the fold, because I thought, this TV thing could just be like a horrible, bomb. And I don't want to bring these guys along for the bomb. So I said to the producers, you have to get your trades. My guys are precious and they're, staying away and they're doing my stuff. Long story short, they could not get an electrician that they liked. They were auditioning people and they wanted like a character, but they had to be a guy that, knew, or a girl that really knew their stuff. And Chico was like, he's phenomenal. So they said, if you are so passionate about this lighting, because it was kind of a crapshoot, showcasing lighting, like how do you show that on TV? That's my dogs. The dogs are barking.
All right.
We have a delivery. So they said, you have to help us out. And I said, well, I have an electrician, but he's Filipino Italian. He's got long black hair with blue streaks. He rides a Jesse James bike and you can't really understand a word he's saying. And they're like, perfect. So I remember phoning Chico and saying, okay, I'm doing this design show and I'd love to have you on. It might take, we didn't know how long, we would need him for. We didn't know anything at the time. So I said, I'm thinking, maybe a day, a week, I'd love to showcase what we do and, blah, blah, blah. And he says, well, Candice, let me think about it a little bit. Well, okay, as long as it does not air in East LA.
He has some peeps that don't want to know him in East LA.
I went, what? What's happening in East LA? at that time, it was only a Canadian show. I'm like, yeah, never going to happen. Anyway, long story short, he's still alive, and the show definitely aired in East LA. But he resonated with the fans so much. We couldn't figure it out. Do you remember the show The Osbournes, where
Yeah.
Ozzy Osbourne had to sometimes be subtitled? We
Yeah.
thought we would have to do that with him, because half the time I'm like, what the heck are you saying?
Well, he was great because I I remember really enjoying the show, and I obviously remember you, but he was of the other people that were there. That if you had them on, I don't remember anybody else, but I remember him.
That's
Yeah.
he was and still is a character. He tells a funny story of he was going over to the Milan lighting show years ago, and he was sitting beside Evander Holyfield, the boxer that had his ear chewed
Right.
off or
Get off.
something.
Mike.
So the flight attendant is coming down, like kind of sees Chico and sees Evander, and she's got a little book that she wants, obviously an autograph. So she comes walking down, the aisle, and Evander kind of reaches out to take the book, and then she goes, oh, Chico, I just love you. And then Evander looks over at Chico and goes, who are you? And he goes, I am Chico from Divine Design. Isn't that crazy?
Awesome. It's a great story. That's funny.
So there's
Cindy Stewart Fisher is asking, what are the best layering secrets if you don't have a ton of money, like layering and design?
You know what? I always, if I'm doing a kind of a quick makeover or more of a decorating project, I always think you've got to start somewhere. And I always look at the big picture element, which typically tends to be something like an area carpet. It's 10 by 12, it's 8 by 10. That's taking up a huge amount of geography in your room. So that's layer one. Then I'll try and pull, the next biggest statement piece out of there. That's where our furniture, really comes into play. Pulling in the tones of the carpet, or I might look at some accent pillows, with the furniture that are more of a textural contrast. But I think that layering aspect literally starts from the ground up, and it's easy. You bring it in, roll it out, and then there the character building is starting. Layer one, then our furniture, then our accessories there. It sounds very simple, but I mean, area carpets it's like the wall covering we were talking about. It's that, the vertical statement, but this is the horizontal statement.
And I use artwork a lot for staging things on the floor. We usually keep it, for me, more neutral, only because we want them to be looking around the room too. Right. But so the artwork is what we use to pull colors in. And so there was one, I forget where I was. Anyhow, the person was like, oh no, the artwork isn't what dictates the color. It's the accessories. And then I go, no, to me, it was like the opposite thinking. Cause it's like the artwork will have all these different colors you can pull from. Totally. Yeah. So that's usually what we do. It's kind of our inspiration pieces versus like sure. a little, but people could use anything. Like if they get some cool thing on a trip and it has some neat colors or whatever, then they can use that as their inspiration and start incorporating those colors that they like into their house. I mean,
yeah, but you just need that jumping off point, that element that starts to build the character in the space. So it could be artwork. I say the easy things because artwork is easy to hang. Area carpet is easy to roll out. Right. If I'm doing it for a client, a lot of times it'll be drapery because that's that vertical. You're looking at it flat on. I know that's for staging. That's more of an investment, type of a situation. But it could be, beautiful fabric for drapery as well.
So you, so obviously you talked about how you do all your own sketching. So I was always impressed by that because there's the CAD CAM design and so forth. So were you always really artsy as a kid? Did you sketch and draw? And
I did, but you know what? I never thought of design as as a career because I just thought, I'm going to be, if I go to art school, I'll be, that starving artist painting, black velvet Elvis paintings by the side of the road, trying to make a buck. Like I didn't know really and plus I was tall and sporty. So I, of course, back in the day, you're going to be a phys ed teacher.
Right, exactly.
But I always loved sciences. So my first degree actually was in science with a minor in fine arts. And then I thought, okay, I'm either going to go in the science field, or even without my mother really knowing, I applied for design school, not thinking I would ever get in. I grew up in Western Canada, and that's why I'm here in Toronto. I went to design school, and this is where the business is. And I didn't think I would get in, but they liked my portfolio. They didn't even ask for an interview, which was very flattering. And that was a tough one to break to my mom. Mom, I got into design school.
Is she still alive?
Yeah, she is.
So so what does she think? So when your career took off, was she like, this was a great move? Like, she didn't, I don't know what kind of science, were you gonna be a doctor or something, but this is completely the opposite. Like, is she?
Ironically, she's retired now, and she's a painter full time. She's following her passion. So
Wow.
you know what? She was always supportive. It's if it's something that you love and you really believe in, and you're gonna have to work your butt off, because it's a little, at the time, I think design was in the 80s is very different than what it was or what it is today. I thought it was very important to do a degree program to give it some legitimacy.
Right.
So I think that's important. And I worked really, really hard. There's no other secret. I just worked really long hours. That's why I got married so late.
Right.
No time for guys.
Well, you really were a trailblazer.
Well,
For the industry, like being one of the first women that really, on successful, and then being on television, you were one of the first to be showcased on TV.
You know
And
what?
then the
I take a
longevity you've
lot of
had.
pride in that. I really do. I wanted to, because I say that back in when I was looking at doing a bigger show, I thought I wanted to showcase what design was all about, and not be so serious, because there were a few design shows out there, but I wanted to showcase great design, the elements of design, what goes into it. I wanted to inspire homeowners, but I wanted to bring some.
She froze there, so probably some fun. The camera. Well, one of the things that I really liked about her show.
Our show did that. I take a lot of pride in that, because at the time, like I said, there was a lot of stuff that just wasn't design. It was heavy entertainment, which is part of it too. You just can't be, hardcore design principles, because that's, but I really do take a lot of pride, and we try to show what the profession does, what the trades do, how the team works, how it's not puppies and kittens and unicorns and stuff hits the fan all the time.
Right.
And
things don't go as planned. One thing I liked about your show too is it was positive, because there was a lot of shows that they focus on the drama.
Yes.
Like even some of the staging shows, the drama of staging. I mean, there's no drama of staging. Like when it is hard work, and but we don't go find like a colleague that got a project over me. I don't go, hey, you stole that project from me, and duke it out. And so that was just kind of this canned, scripted negative reality. And so what I always enjoyed about your show was it was funny, because you're so funny and entertaining, but it was real life. And so I think you also helped a lot of people who came into the design industry after to really understand, like, this is what it's going to take.
Right. We did have, there is the TV side of it and the network side of it, that there are elements that they want. And believe me, sometimes it just made, the hair on the back of my neck stand up. But we didn't have, we never were at a loss for drama. Somebody was always drilling into a plumbing pipe or something.
Well, but it's like real life drama versus like manufactured. Like, get mad at that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it was
right. And that's a tough thing too, when it is real life. It's then it has to be stopped so we can get that on camera. So then it becomes fake, but it's real.
Right.
And one of the hardest things about being professionals but not actors is that we're not actors. Do you know how hard it is to do something over that you just kind of lived?
Right.
I'd look, especially the guys, poor Chico. It's like, take 13.
Oh my God, that's funny. Well, I'm so excited to have you joining us. And so you'll be there Friday. I'm not sure when you're coming in, so I'm working with your person, Jeff, on all the logistics. But Nashville is an awesome city. And
I've never
so
been.
you've never been?
I've never been.
Wow.
I know.
I went for the first time just to do the site tours. I'd never been either, but it's a very cool town, and they got the music and the whole vibe. And then of course the Gaylord Opryland Hotel is amazing.
I
So
looked it up. It looks like it's going to be a fantastic time. You also have a very good, or they have a very good hockey team. Not this year, but I know last year with the hockey run they had, and all the country and western singers, and yeah, it looks
yeah.
like it's going to be. I'm thinking of coming in a couple of days early with my husband. Now that my kids are getting, oh wait a minute, they're teenagers. I can't leave them alone. I take that back.
I know it was sort of like, well, the 15, 13, well, you had like, maybe you have somebody be like a house sitter come in and keep an eye on them.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Well, we have cameras, the cameras that are hooked up to our phones. So yeah, it's really sad that teens can't they can get into trouble, no problem, but they can't do it without being seen these days.
I know I have Life 360 on my phone, so it tells me when my kids come and go. It also tells me how fast they drive, as far as like the top speed they went. And so I don't know if they even know that. It just said on the shows. Hope they're not watching. But I like knowing that they're home safely. And so only one of my 4 hasn't confirmed the app, because she's like, I don't want you knowing where I'm going. I'm like, well, I just want to know you're safe. That's all I care about. I just want to know. And it's also, if something happens to them, that thing can track where they are. So many of the apps and stuff are pretty cool for teenagers. You'll get there. I mean, 13, 15, so mine are almost 20, 21, 23, and 24.
Oh,
and
gosh.
So, I mean,
whoa, that's some hard math in between those numbers.
I know. Yeah. So that cluster, there are issues, as there's things you're dealing with now, and as they get older, then it's like, school and choices, and then it's like getting launched in life. And so it's, we love our kids, but it's.
Now, have they gone away to school, and are they coming back? Are you dealing with that?
Yeah, the boomerang.
Oh.
So our oldest son graduated, and he's a realtor with my husband. So he's moved back home for this year to kind of save and get the career off the ground, and he'll eventually move out. And our daughter, she moved back, but then she moved out. So then our other 2 boys are still in the midst. So
right. You need to downsize to a 1-bedroom apartment fast.
Yeah, they can't. They still find it. And there's always kids coming over. And we're kind of like the house that all the people come and hang out at. So anyway, but it's fun.
Fun.
Yeah. Well, we are so looking forward to having you. We'll be talking with Jeff and Barbara, your people, to make sure you're situated. You let us know when you want to come in, and we'll get you taken care of. And I think we're going to have you on the show one more time before the conference. And so thank you so much for being on. It's you're just so genuine, and I can't wait to meet you in person.
Awesome.
And you have such a huge fan base within the home staging community as well. So
so sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for being on, Candice. Everybody say goodbye to Candice.
Okay, ciao.
She's the Italian ciao ciao. We learned that when we went to Italy. All right, Kat, you're coming on. Good morning. I can't hear you. Can you guys hear her? I don't have a sound. Audio. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, perfect.
Yeah? Okay, cool.
Awesome.
And you can see me?
Yeah,
Hi.
I can see you look so cute. I love your hair band. She's always so fashionable, and you stage the background, and I gotta do something with my background.
Yeah, that's my rays going out. But I've been dying to do this because I know Candice, it's funny because I'm an old timer. I'm like Joanne. I'm like 89 years young. I think Joanne and I are the same age. So I remember Divine Design. I remember, you know what they call those doll dresses you talk about, Jenny? Chloroforms.
Oh,
Chloroforms, where you'd put the dress over the doll and you change the outfits. Yeah, and now they're doing it in the wallpaper, which I just love. But I so remember Chico and Candice and just loved her show. So she's like, the ultimate designer, and I love her personality like you. But of course, we're in the staging world here, and I just have to do this little thing for you. Hang on.
Okay.
Because you never get a second chance to make a first impression, right? Okay, so that's my stick.
That's like me with that guy's face that went to the DMV, like, yeah, like had to hold the face the whole time he got his little driver's license picture.
Oh, well, Jeff and I, when we first came to Texas from California, we go to the, I guess they call it DPS here, not DMV. And it was like, so unlike California, you walk right up, like there was no lines. We're like, where are we? What country are we? And so we're goofing around and I go, you make that really cool Kermit the Frog face. Do that. We'll do that. Okay. Together. Well, he still holds it over me. He did it and I chickened out. My vanity got the best of me.
So his picture, he's like a total.
So he walked around. Yeah. He walked around for whatever, 4 years with Kermit the Frog on his lips.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Now they're like ugly mug shots. They don't let you even smile. It's like,
right.
It's so, and I don't know why do you not, I guess maybe it's because you don't smile when you're getting a ticket, or I don't know what they think's going to happen, but I think they're pictures of the DMV and then also the passports are so terrible.
They are. I just go, you know what? I'm smiling. I can't stand it.
So tell everybody who you are and where you live and your business.
Yes, I'm Kat Troulinos. I'm with Ta-Da by Kat out of the greater Houston area. And that's me. I'm an ASPM. If you want the Cadillac of all training, talk to Jenny about getting your accredited staging professional master designation. It was the best thing that I did. 2 years ago, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was the first one you did in Denver. Yep.
That was fun.
And I've recently, last year, I trained with Joanne and got my competent color certification. I've also got an additional one with HSRA, really loving color. I recently did a project that, in fact, I reached out to Joanne. I'm like, Joanne, any words of wisdom here? I've got a call to do a strip center. And it was pouring rain out here. He was on a limited.
Clarify, a strip mall, not a strip like.
Yeah, a strip mall. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, not a strip club. It was a hobby. I don't think y'all have Hobby Lobbies out there, but you do have them. So it was an old abandoned strip center, really long strip center. And I went out there in the pouring rain. I tried to reschedule, but he was on a limited. I'm thinking, okay. And I thought, well, I've never done this, but color theory and all the color training I've had, in the undertones and combinations and saturations and hues, all that still plays. So I was able to pull it off, and I'm excited to see what his boss decides this week on color. Yeah.
So talk about, because Joanne, I had her on, was it last week or the week before? So she talked about the class that she's offering. And so you're one of the people that have gone through it. That's part of the, IAHSP family and so forth. I know Mary and Lala. So talk about what was, a couple of the big takeaways from that, or why was, the way she does the class, it's not just let's look at the fan deck and pick a color. So talk about what your overall impression was.
Absolutely. Happy to. Joanne has really taken it to the science. She's appropriately named it competent color certification, because you have the confidence. You take the time to actually in class color code all of the undertones, and that's what people struggle with. I had a lady. This was actually before the class, so it actually just amplified. We all have that, whether it's staging or color, kind of an innate ability or sensibility, but it really gives you the confidence to now know, okay, I'm not really guessing on the undertones of this. I know what the undertones are, and I know, color does not exist without light, so light is so important. So I had this lady call me up in a panic. She says, I don't know if you want to take this on. I've got the painter coming on Monday. This is a rehab house. And my husband has like 10 swatches of grays on the wall. And I just can't figure out what to pick. And I thought, okay, I put my bra on and
exactly
got my bag and went, okay. I prayed. When I got there, I thought, oh my gosh. Her husband, who was like military, had these exact 8.5 by 11 squares painted on the wall, all like 3 walls. He had lights. He had, LED lights shining on them, and they were all shades of gray. And I thought, wow, I sure hope that what I'm going to come up with, which at that point was probably what Joanne calls my DNA, darn near always colors, is going to work for her. We had her color picked out in 20 minutes. Her husband was so impressed. He's like, do you have a don't change your mind clause she can sign? He was, concerned that she'd change her mind. But, it was just having the confidence of knowing that she was picking the wrong colors with the wrong undertones. and how the light played on that. So that was, I think, one of the biggest things is Joanne really has the science of it and takes you through the process of the entire deck. So there's no guesswork. And the second, I think, tool, or first second, that I think was really very beneficial is Joanne takes you through a process of elimination, kind of a color test. And so when you go meet a client, it's not, we'll pick a color, there's no right or wrong. And there's a process of eliminating, comparing decks, A and B, C and D, and you do a process of elimination. And you've now eliminated 75% of the deck to come up with their happy colors or color story or what have you, whether it's design or, staging. Usually that's design, but sometimes staging.
She has like the deeply saturated, like the more muted, and so you that is important because a lot of people she's used an example when we've had her at our conferences and even on there, like, oh, I love the color blue. Well, right. What blue? And so is it like the deep blue, the saturated, more gray blues, the more softer, like a pale blue? So that's so smart. And so I definitely wanted to take the class as well because we do get asked to do color, and
yeah, you'll love it.
Yes. Yeah. Don't guess at the color. Like, and Betty had that, the app she talked about is the Color Muse tool. So it's like a little thing about this big, and you can put it on and it reads colored. It's actually really nifty. And so I just used it last week with a client where she needs to, freshen up the paint in her place, and she's going to repaint the kitchen, and she's selling. So we're going neutrals, but I put the Color Muse. She's like, what color's on the wall? Because it's this house that's probably, I don't know, 60, 70 years old. And so I put the tool up and it picked up green undertones, which was really interesting. And I said, I'm interested, why is it picking up green? Well, because the creamy color was painted over green paint, and that little tool read it. Yes. And so it's really a really cool.
I have that tool. She actually shared that at Masters, and I went and purchased one, and it's great for that particular situation where you have existing colors and maybe you need to figure out what is there. And a lot of times also people forget that color affects what is adjacent. So if you have certain things, particularly in design, that are stationary, they're not going anywhere, those are going to play off of the color story that you're going to do too. And in that case, the Muse picked up the undertones of the previous paint. So yeah, that's a great little tool. I think it's like $50.
So the Color Muse, MUSC. So I just ordered it online. It was like, I don't know, $19 or something.
Oh, it's gone down. I think I paid $50 a couple years ago.
Oh, really? Yeah, I think it probably has come down. I got one for myself and one for Lauren, and then I have it in my purse. I just take it with me. So it's really a cool tool. Yeah, very cool. Conference, Kat is going to talk about, she's on a panel on overcoming objections and like closing the sale, that type of thing. So talk about why that's so important, understanding how to overcome, because clients are going to have concerns or objections, and why so many people are not very skilled at doing that, where does that come from, and then how to get to a place where they're really good at overcoming objections.
Absolutely. Well, I think it's kind of like primer for paint. The prelude to handling the objections is really asking the right questions, because that's where the power lies, in asking those smart questions to find out, what is the reason that they're. If you're talking to the homeowner, which I'm finding more and more, we're getting homeowners calling us, thanks to your show and others with the visibility of staging. They're finding it very important sometimes before the realtor. So, get to know them, build that rapport, find out why they're moving. What is their pain point? Have they been on the market for a long time? Did they try virtual staging and now they're calling you? I mean, there's a myriad of stories that if you just kind of spit out and do knee-jerk reaction, you're not going to really have that prep and that story that's really going to give you the power, ammunition power, whatever, to handle those objectives. Because, you and I think you've quoted me before, it's like, you have to find out what is their pain point. We have an old sales training acronym with them. What's in it for me? So once you know their pain, you can help address and help, really take away their pain, really, and provide that, what's in it for them. So some of the most common things, I'm just going to mention a couple, because as you know, I teach TREC classes, also continuing education classes, and get a lot of dialogue from realtors, et cetera. And one of the things that we will see, and I'm sure you've seen, is, well, they're just going to leave that wall red, or they're just going to leave that ratty carpet. My seller said, they can imagine it. They can imagine it. Well, we all know they can't imagine it. As Barbara Shore says, people don't buy what they don't see. So they can't imagine it. But the real kind of Achilles tendon here is that if you let your seller go ahead and do that, because you don't want to rock the boat and you don't know how to articulate that, okay, let me tell you what that looks like, Mr. Seller. If you leave that red wall and that ratty carpet, here's what's going to happen. It's going to take a lot more people to see that home because they're not going to feel the emotion. Staging is emotion, as Barb Schwartz says, and buyers justify price with emotion. Okay, right. So you're taking the emotion out of the equation. Okay, it's just another house, and now it's a fixer-upper. So let's just say you do get a lot of showings, and someone falls in love with it. Usually it's the woman. I'm going to say not always, but she falls in love and says, honey, I just love this. It's just got the right amount of light, and it's close to the school and whatever. And he's going, yeah, but it's a fixer-upper. Okay, I'm going to have to paint the walls. I'm going to have to put new carpet, and he's pushing back. Because all he sees is fixer-upper, okay? So she wins the battle, as she usually does. Read the book she buys. I'll tell you why. And she says, okay, fine. It was $300,000. Let's offer him $250,000. Okay, so let's do the math. The carpet might have cost, what? Let's even go high, $5,000. Painting the room cost $500. So $5,500 from $50,000. What is that? $35,000 equity you just threw out. So it's people don't buy what they don't see, and so it's I really try to encourage that coupled with those pesky DOM days on market. There's that perception. So okay, it sits. And now it's on the market, languishing on the market, and people are thinking, what's wrong with it? So that gives them more leverage to, okay, this is a distressed home. Let's go in and lowball them. So I think empowering your sellers with that logic, along with statistics, let the statistics, National Association of Realtors, we've got lots of statistics out there that I try to share with as many realtors as possible to help, show them. Because typically, and again, not to be sexist, but oftentimes we see the woman is like, oh yeah, I watch HGTV staging. Oh, that's going to be great. Let's stage. And possibly the husband's like, no, I don't. Spend what? That's just too much money.
Yeah, so the number one concern I hear most stagers do as well is the price. Oh, we don't want to spend the money. We're selling. We don't want to put any more money towards this house. And then they don't understand. Like I have a client right now that, the house is, was clean. It's dated. They need to update the cabinets. They could paint them. It's not a really large footprint, but they've got a lot of the oak trim, the oak doors. And so the feedback they're getting is that it feels dated. And so if they had put time up front to do some, like now they're talking about replacing the interior doors and painting some of the baseboards, and it's like, well, that should have been done ideally first before they ever came on the market.
Yes.
So
you never get a second chance to make a first impression. I had a call just last week. Sometimes you just have to turn down work, especially if it's going to compromise the integrity of your and caliber of your work. And I had a realtor who went to one of my classes, and the house had been on the market for a couple of months. I'm looking at it just appalled because no carpet down to the cement in the master and other areas just really looked like it had been, in the middle of a rehab or something. And so I looked at the pictures and asked her a few questions. She said, oh, this has been done. That's been done. Okay, so will there be carpeting? No, she doesn't want to put carpeting. And I'm like, okay, yeah, no. That's really like putting a lipstick on a pig, and I really don't want to take your money, let alone represent my work that way, because it's really not going to help her,
Right. And they'll say, oh, we want the buyer to pick what they want, but they don't understand the buyers don't have a vision. And so to put something like that looks ugly, because John has a client with the same thing. They have a basement that has just, mishmashed layers of carpet in there, but it's a finished basement. So it's not like it's a,
Right.
We see a lot with just like insulation on the walls, but people still use it. This actually is finished, it's drywalled, everything, but the carpet is, needs to be addressed. And they were just going to rip up the carpet and leave the cement floor. And John's like, you can't do that and expect to get the best price. It just doesn't compute. So that's frustrating. It's like a program like we had with Zoom Casa where people can pay for it at closing. That helps overcome that concern. If it's a money concern, giving them an option
Sure.
of being able to pay for it.
Giving them an option and really sharing the statistics with them. Right. It's an investment, not a cost. If you invest $1,000, Mr. Seller, you're going to get back an additional $4. Studies prove it. Let me share those with you. Yeah.
Yeah. People are asking, so Carol, it is Color Muse is the same. It's a little device. The app was called the Color Snap app. And that was when you had it on your cell phone and then you put your cell phone up on the wall and you read a color. And the Color Muse actually works. It's more accurate. So Keely says, Kat is beyond amazing, magical, and unique. I just love everything about her.
Who said that?
Keely Andrews. Yeah, Keely. That's so nice. And just really quickly, how's Jeff doing? Good.
He is getting stronger every day. Thank you for asking. I think some may know that I had stem cell treatment on my knee, and we've put him in contact with the acupuncturist stem cell center, and he's going to start treatment this week. And we're really, really hopeful that he's going to have great success with that. But definitely 4 pints of blood helped.
Yeah, it was kind of scary. So yeah, Jeff, her husband, is wonderful, talented musician, creative. He's I don't want to say wind beneath your wings because he's also helped with the vision and so forth, but just, you guys are a great couple.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Thank you for asking about him. Yes. I know he's going to be strong as ever, and you're going to see him in Tennessee.
That's going to be so fun. So we just love you. So Kat is, she's doing, she'll be on the main stage as on the panel. So versus a breakout session. So you're going to be sharing, I think I don't have the schedule in front of me, but I believe you're on Saturday, because I think on Friday is the realtor panel, what realtors really want from stagers. And on Saturday, we have the closing the sale panel. And so such an important topic for people to understand how to overcome objections, to be able to get the client to say yes. And so I'm really excited to have you on there.
I'm excited on that too. Yeah. And I just have, so many, I want to talk to you too, because I could probably talk for 2 hours just on that. But I want to say one thing. And I talk to a lot of stagers, and I've got 25 years sales background, have been blessed to have been trained with top Fortune 100 companies, et cetera. I know you have that corporate background as well, Jenny. But follow up, if you can just remember one thing beyond all the other things, just follow up. Back in my career, when I was trying to get on board with AT&T, actually I was with them. I was trying to get into the wholesale division. So, it's like companies within companies. I'm going to say pestered. Be that bad penny that keeps turning up. Email them, text them, send them your digital business card, send them something, send them a package. Just be in front of them. And I think of this because in this particular position that I gained, which was kind of the top of where I was at AT&T, he thanked me, because I'm kind of the belief, until you tell me get lost, stop bugging me, go away, we've hired someone else, I'm going to still be in your face somewhere, some way, somehow, either coming from contribution, giving you information, staying with you. And so if you don't remember anything and have no sales background at all, just, keep yourself a file, a tickler file, and keep, okay, I emailed them on this date. I texted them on this date. I dropped off something on this date, follow up.
And that's so important because the clients want to know that you're interested in working with them. And whenever I send off a proposal, it's always, hey, the first is, did you receive it? Just want to make sure you got it. Do you have any questions?
Yep.
And then if I don't, then they're like, we're reviewing it. Then the next one would be, I'm getting my week planned. Want to know if I need to schedule, confirm a delivery for you. So there's ways you can kind of put things out there without being like, make a decision.
Sure. Let me ask you this, Jenny, just from a professional to professional standpoint. So I've done this sometimes, I guess, when I felt pretty brave, like not too long ago, I'm like this, and then I'll go on her and go, okay, they never got back with me. They used somebody else. So then I'll text them. Usually they don't answer, and I'll say, oh, I see you've made another decision. I'm just curious, for future for me, what was your decision-making criteria? I don't say, was it price? Was it this? Was it that? Do you think that's okay? Do you do that at all?
Yeah, I do. I'll ask like the same thing, like for my own knowledge, for the future, what was the determining factor? And sometimes they'll come back and they'll say, oh, it was, price or availability or whatever it is. A lot of times they don't respond, but when they do, it is helpful.
It is.
One that I didn't get was she said, oh, this person could get it done. It was like on Tuesday. We could get it done Friday. And I said, I could have gotten it done as well. So so then I take that as like, I didn't communicate well enough that we could respond to get it done this week for them versus the following week. And so, and I always leave a positive wake. I never be like, oh, their staging looks like crap. I would never do anything like that or say, they should have used me. And I mean, you never want to burn a bridge. I always say, hey, I'm so glad you're getting it staged. You're in good hands, or just keep me in mind for the next one. I would love to work with you. So you always want to leave that positive.
Yes, and absolutely. And even for business in the future, should you need me for whatever it is, another investment, a color consultation, or maybe, interior styling for your new home, keep us in mind. Yeah. Okay, I was just curious if you did that too. It felt a little putting myself out there, but information is power, and it can help you for the next time. Like you said, oh, I guess I wasn't clear enough. I could have done it too.
Right.
In 48 hours.
If you know that, like, oh, it was price, because a lot of times it comes down to like they'll just pick the person with different factors, and so then because nobody bats 1,000, but then I'll use that. I don't say, well, how far off was I, or
right.
But I know, okay, well, that was what their determining factor was, and so I'll take a look at, could I have done better on the price, or was I priced right where I want to be? And so I think it is helpful, just any business owner, if you can get that feedback, I think that's important. So
yeah. Good, thank you.
Well, we are actually over time, and I loved having Candice on, and I don't see Sheila. Sheila, I'm sorry that she didn't even make it into the lobby section. So I know that she messaged me yesterday and forgot that she was supposed to be on the show with the calendar app. So we'll have her on a future show. We'll get her on here.
She's going to talk about the investor, right? Staging for investors. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, she'll be part of the investor staging designation.
So I need to go on a marathon. And for all of you who are on, it didn't know. In fact, I talked to Melody in Austin today. She goes, oh, I've got to go on a staging. I go, it's recorded. I go, in fact, I need to go on a marathon. I wanted to do it before my segment today because I want to see Kevin. I want to see all the people that are on the show, but I need to sit down and, just get a cup of tea, no distractions, and watch, a half a dozen shows.
Yeah, they're all on the homestagingtalk.com, and they're also on the IAHSP YouTube page.
Oh, that's right. You can go on YouTube. Oh, so you can actually watch it on your TV if you have smart TV, right?
Oh my God, that is like this. My head is bigger.
Yes, so many inches of you, Jenny. I love it. And your head will be this big. Your head's not big, honey.
Oh my God. That's so funny. Well, I love you. Can't wait to see you in person in Nashville, if not before. And
I've missed you. Tell John, send my love to John.
I will.
And
thank you. A hug from us. We're thinking we'll call you guys privately just to check in.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Bye. Thanks, Kat. Say bye. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll have another great show for you next week. So thank you so much for being part of Homestaging Talk Show Live. Please make sure to share the segment out on your page so we reach as many people as possible. And I'm going to sign off and say goodbye for now. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great rest of your week. Bye, everybody.